Some women chase success, others become leaders worth following. Some women chase success, others become leaders worth following. Welcome back to the podcast, guys. I've got the Sales Baddie in the building. Cailin's here.
Yay! So excited.
She runs a sales membership called Sales Baddie, and it's all about doing sales your way and just end to end all of the important pieces of that journey. So I know you've just recently shifted your whole business model. Like, what was that journey like? Why did you do it? How's it going? Fill us in.
I feel like it was something that I was kind of trying to almost figure out for a while. Like, I've been running my business for 6 years, and I just more so towards even like the beginning of last year, I started wanting to shift my business to focus more on sales instead of just being like a generalized business coach who teaches all of the things. And so I started doing out that just by building out my product suite and adding sales focused offers to my product suite. And in doing that, I'm like, okay, this is fun. There's demand for it. There's a need for it. Like, there's a huge gap when it actually comes to sales understanding and sales skills, specifically in the online space when it comes to online business owners, because most of the approaches that they're taught aren't sales, they're marketing. And there's a difference, and there's both are required, and we have to have both. Sales needs marketing, marketing needs sales, but one does not replace the other, right? And so there's a huge like over awareness of marketing, but there's also kind of this misconception that marketing is sales, and it's not. They are completely different things.
All big skills.
And they complement each other, but they're completely different things. You have to learn and understand both so you can see how they're actually going to interconnect and come together and make sense for your business. And so that's what I really started building, is teaching people, how do I connect all of these moving pieces of my sales strategy and my sales system to build something that actually makes sense. Everything's communicating and everything's actually working together, whether it's your marketing or your offers or, you know, your content or your sales funnel. Like, all of those things have to be communicating with each other to be optimized. And so I started building out programs specific to those pieces, but I was like focusing on one piece of that at a time, one part of the sales system, one part of the sales strategy at the time. And through doing that, it was so funny because even just bringing forward those programs, and it took me a while to do this. So I have a sales background, right? And that's what I did for corporate. And that's what I've always actually really enjoyed. This is actually the thing that I love the most, that I'm the most passionate about. And so because of that, I was starting to build out these programs. But what I didn't realize was adding in those programs is what brought me the clients that I actually wanted to be working with. And before, I literally always thought that there just wasn't a demand for sales because it feels like everyone is selling sales.
Yeah.
In like so many different ways. And so again, people get really confused about what sales actually even is to begin with. Yeah. And so I started building these programs, and then all of a sudden I have like multiple 6-figure, 7-figure business owners buying my program because they don't understand sales. And it was like such an aha moment for me of like, wow, because people sometimes think teaching sales is just step one. Teaching sales is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's forever. It's something you constantly have to be working on. Any business owner, not just online business owners too. And so when I started to see that, and I started to even see my clientele change, and I was beginning to work with more so of the clients that I wanted to be working with, but working with them in a hands-on way, which is what I was doing at the time, allowed me to be in their businesses, and they're making 7 figures and multiple 6 figures a year. But I'm seeing all of these gaps in their sales strategy and system. And then it's so easy for me because I'm like, well, we plug this one gap. We're just pouring gasoline on your already existing fire. Like, you're not sitting there desperate to land a client. You're already seeing success. And now we just get to make it even better by giving you this understanding, by giving you this strategy, by giving you this system, by filling in this missing gap. And so that really started to be an aha moment for me. And that was kind of progressive for all of 2025. Like I started at the beginning. I think April of last year, I launched a program called Sales on Demand. And then I think it was August of last year, I launched a program, This Is How I Funnel. And then I created a one-to-one program off the back of that where it was done with you. It was like really collaborative. Again, I was getting into people's businesses. And then at the end of November, I sold out that program and I was just like, okay, like, something's really clicking here. And even just doing that, I'm getting referred by more people. I'm waking up, I'm getting tagged on threads. People are like, go to Cailin for sales, go to Cailin for sales. And I was like, wow, instead of just being this generalized business coach where I'm like, I can work with you on this and then I'll work with you on that. And I'll feel like I'm selling all of these different things and all of these different programs. I was like, maybe I just go all in on this one thing, but what is that actually going to look like? And I didn't know. And that was really uncomfortable for me because of my Virgo rising. I like to have the strategy. I like to have the system. I like to have the direction. I need to know where I'm going. I'm frustrated if I don't have some sort of plan, even if it's a loose plan. And I had to sit with that discomfort and be okay with it and just be like, something's going to come here. I don't know what it is yet. Let me get curious.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I just got curious and I got open and I was like, I don't have to figure this out immediately. It's going to come to me one day. And when it comes to me, it's going to hit me like a ton of bricks and I'm just going to know. And when that happens, I'm going to go full speed ahead. And then that happened at the beginning of this year in January. I was like, you know what? Screw all of my other offers. I have these sales trainings. I have other sales trainings that I want to provide for people because, you know, even having those programs where they're this piece and that piece, I'm seeing myself as an educator, as a sales educator, but I still need to teach them that and I still need to teach them this. And I don't want to have all of these different programs, right? And I also don't want it to be one-to-one coaching because I want them to know how to do this for themselves without me. I don't want them to have to rely on me and check in with me to make sure it's okay. Like I want them to have such deep skill and understanding that they're able to do these things on their own. And then if they want help and support beyond that, of course, there's space for that. And so in January, I had the idea for a sales membership. And still then I'm starting to plan it and I'm like, I am going to go all in on this. I'm going to make this the biggest deal. But something that I always knew that I wanted for my business was like something that people could identify with, something that people could be a part of. And I like to get my inspiration from brands well outside of the online space and businesses like that. I actually really like to get my inspiration from like artists, musicians. Like I'm always looking at how they're marketing and how they're selling because they're so good at building brands.
Yeah.
They're not just a singer or an artist. They're a brand that you buy into. That's why you buy their merch. That's why they have names for it, like Meg the Stallion. She's like real hot girl shit. The Hotties.
Yes.
She calls her audience the Hotties. You know, even Lady Gaga.
The Believers.
Yeah, the Believers, the little monsters. Like they have something that they can buy into. It's a community that makes people feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. They don't even feel like they're a part of just a fan of that musician. They're like, no, I'm X. Yeah. I'm this. I identify as this type of person. And so I always wanted that for my business since like I've started my business, but I could never figure it out what it was going to be. And then finally one day I was sitting there and I'm like playing around with different membership names and I'm really, really specific about what I name my programs. Like that is one of the most important things to me. And I'm sitting around and I knew I wanted my membership name to be something like empowering, badass, something that people just feel. And then finally I was like, what if it's just Sales Baddie?
Yeah.
And then I start doing research and I'm like,
available?
No one has Sales Baddie? I'm like, this is like not a thing yet. Like I'm like literally Googling, like no one's even saying these words together. And I'm like, that's what this is because being a baddie is someone who's confident. It's someone who owns the room, who owns their shit. It's powerful. It's empowered. It's embodied. And that's how I want people to feel when it comes to sales.
Yes. Oh, I love like something that I've noticed so much through this whole journey, watching the Sales Baddie launch and then everything that you've just said then is the patience that you've had in like deep self-trust.
Yeah.
It's like it will come and that this is so right for me. So I just stay in the game. Like watching the Sales Baddie launch, it was such a beautiful execution. There were people talking all over the internet about the Sales Baddie launch, which is so fun.
Literally AI picked up on it, and then people were Googling Sales Baddie, and Google is like, this is what Sales Baddie is, a membership by Cailin Tokarczyk. And I was like,
organic,
what?
Which is insane.
Yeah, I don't know anything about SEO, and I created my own SEO from selling.
Yes, and from just saying it so often.
Literally.
Like, can you share, what do you think makes a really good launch? Because I feel like I saw so many patterns in what you were doing that was so powerful. Like, what are some that we can take away?
Everything when it comes to launching, what you do before the launch is a million times more important than what you do during the launch. It's all about the pre-sale. It's all about getting your audience ready to buy and getting them bought into something literally and figuratively before they can buy into that thing, right? So it's building that anticipation, building that desire, and building that demand before you even drop the link, before you even drop the name, like literally breadcrumbing the offer. So many people launch their offers and it's like,
here it is.
Here's my offer and you can join right now. And everyone's like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
They're like, I didn't know what this offer is. Like, unless you have a business where you have built-in demand and you have, you know, thousands of people who have already paid you, because it's always easier to sell to people who have already paid you than it is to sell to new people, unless you're running these massive ads and your ads convert really well. And so you know you're always going to have volume. Unless you're in that position, you have to give your audience time to warm up to your offer before you just go ahead and sell it to them when you're launching, of course. So that is the most important part of the launch, is getting people ready to buy and letting them know exactly what your offer is before you even launch it. Like, not waiting for during the launch to cover X, Y, and Z, or to tell them what's included, or to tell them the price point or anything like that. Like, literally give them everything that they need to know before you drop that link, because the second that you drop that link, they're going to be ready to buy. And so I call this, you have to move people into consideration mode, where they're actively thinking about buying from you. That should be your goal with your audience. How am I getting them to consider buying from me? Period. And so that's what you want to do before your launch. You want to move people into that consideration mode where they're not just following you, but they're paying attention to you. They're literally thinking about buying from you. And then when you drop that link, they can make that buying decision, whether it's a yes or a no, right? It's not always our job to convert every single person, but it is our job to let them make a decision. The worst decision is a maybe in sales. You want a yes or you want a no. And so you need to give people all of that information to make that yes or no decision. And you need to do that before the launch so they're ready to make that decision as soon as you drop that link.
Yes. And there were people literally, like, before you'd even drop the link to be able to buy, people being like screaming at you to open the doors.
Yeah.
And like,
I had so many people ask me to buy before I dropped the link. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you do that because it's not ready yet. And like, it's a membership, so I can't just have you pay me because it's a subscription model. I'm not going to let you pay me for nothing. Like, you have to wait. And that was hard for me too, because normally, you know, I'd have an offer ready to go and I would be like, yeah, let's go, let's get in. But I actually think waiting made it an even bigger launch. I think if I was letting people in early, it just wouldn't have had like the surge that it had during the actual launch. I almost feel like it would have taken away from that. So I'm glad that I like the offer itself kind of forced me to do things that way.
It held out on the like almost exclusivity, and like FOMO, and everything just made
just
people
that anticipation.
That much more.
You know, that's another thing that I always say when it comes to launching: get people on the edge of their seats. They're opening up social media every day and they're thinking, what does Cailin have to say today?
Is it ready? Are we getting more tea on
that?
Yeah.
Is she going to give me the behind the scenes today? What way is she going to sell this to me today? Right? My audience loves when I sell. They love it because I love to sell. And people love to see a woman empowered. And that's how I feel when I sell. And that's how I want not just women, but everyone to feel when they sell. And so, it was so exciting having people being like, can I get in now? Can I get in now? And I'm like, not yet.
Holding that boundary, like, that's so sexy. Seeing someone not be like, oh, you're going to pay me, so I'll figure it out. I'll just throw
and I have
some
been that person
link,
in the past.
We know that feeling of like, let me throw together something half-assed for you just to get this sale.
Oh, you can get free trainings. Like, I've done all of those things in the past, and hey, those things have worked, but like doing it differently this time was really cool, and it just made the launch itself an even bigger deal. It just made people more excited and more ready to buy.
Yes. How did you go? Like you went through such a long, beautiful tease consideration phase and then quite a long launch and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you even closed doors and having to
Mm-hmm.
turn people away, like before that and then now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you have to go through in your own system and mind and everything to be like, I'm holding so fucking steady on this. Like, this is the best launch strategy. It's the best business strategy. It's,
Mm-hmm.
holding to what I said I would do
Yeah.
when, there's money on the table and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like big. How you,
Tempting.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But if anything for me, it kind of plays into like I'm quite a cheeky person.
Yeah.
I'm quite sarcastic, flirty, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like not even in that kind of sense, but like,
Just,
I like
with
to kind of
everyone.
like tease
Tease it.
people and
Yeah.
poke at people. So it almost kind of plays into that for me when I'm like, not yet, not yet. And I'll be
Yeah.
like, doing the winky faces and stuff like that. Nope, you better be ready. You better be sad. You better get ready. So for me, it almost kind of plays into that. And I feel like now I'm so clear on what I want for my business. So like doing it another way doesn't even feel like a potential option to me. Like it's not even something that I'm considering. If anything, when someone is like, can I join now? And I have to say no, but you can join then. I'm just excited because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, people are ready. So when I open up doors, they're going to be ready to buy. This is what I want to see. I want people validating me. I want them letting me know that they're going to join when doors open. That's a sign of a really good offer, right? When your audience is responding in that way. These are the things that you need to pay attention to. If I had it and I wasn't hearing from anyone and it felt like crickets and I was sitting there and thinking, are people going to buy when I open doors again? I would change something with my strategy and my approach. This is the most important thing we can do as business owners
Data.
is pay attention to the people who are paying you. That's who you should be paying attention to more than anything. What are they saying? What are the conversations or lack of that you're having with them? What are their movements? What is making things click for them? What day is your sales page getting the most views? What day are you having the most conversations? What day am I getting the most signups on my wait list? I'm looking at these things and I'm saying, what did I say today?
Yeah.
What did I do today? What way did I sell this offer today? What style of content did I post today? What email did I send today? And actually paying attention to the numbers that are right in front of me. And then that way I can tweak my approach based on how my audience is responding. I'm not guessing. I'm not following a rigid launch framework where I post this content this day and this email that day. I'm not doing those things. I'm paying attention to them and I'm tweaking things based off what they're telling me because that's the best information I will ever get about my offer.
I love that. What do you tell your clients like when they're launching something brand new and they have to go through this really long runway? Like, how do you kick their asses or tell them or remind them that, you have to delay the sale and the dopamine and the validation and do this properly, what feels maybe like the long way?
I think that it just comes back to skill and them actually understanding how to launch and what that looks like and different phases of launches. And that's how I teach launching. I break it down into these different phases and every different phase has a purpose. And so that way you're getting little wins along the way, even if people aren't buying yet, but at least you're getting something out of every part of the launch. Like you have a specific thing that you're focused on and you have a specific goal for that part of the launch. And then we go to the next one and it's the same and the next one and it's the same. And I honestly think for them too, it's very similar because when a lot of them have launched that way where they just pop out a random offer and they haven't told anyone about it and then they haven't seen that much success. Or maybe they launched something for the first time and they made it a big deal and they ran a launch webinar, but they hated that. And so they don't want to do it again. So then they're like, I'm never launching anything again, but that's not working for them either. So like teaching them how to actually do it in this way, I feel like it makes them more excited too, because it's almost the same thing that I just explained. Then they get to see their audience start responding. Then their audience is reacting that same way. When are the doors open? I'm so excited seeing you speak about this. Like I saw someone today post about one of my sales baddies. I take no credit for any of my people's results whatsoever. They're badasses. Everything is on them and them implementing. But I saw them tag them today and they're like, my entire feed is this person. And she's in a launch right now. And I'm like, let's fucking go. Like that's what it's about. Making it the biggest deal and backing it until the end and literally treating it like it's the best damn thing on the internet from the very moment that you start talking about it until forever, until you close that offer. You know what I mean? So that's what you have to have. You have to have that buy-in. You have to actually care about what you're launching. And you also have to look at it outside of just this one launch. Like I wasn't launching Sales Baddie this one time thinking I have to get X amount of people in or this launch is a bust. I'm like, what happens this launch happens, but I'm building a name for this offer. I'm building a brand around this offer. I'm building awareness around this offer. So even if I don't see the sales that I want to see this first launch, which I did, but even before that, when none of that validation was there, none of the income was there, none of the sales were there yet, I was like, I'm doing this to make something out of this offer. And that's what this launch is about. This launch isn't even about how many members get in. It's making this offer known because of where I see this offer going for years, not just this launch, but where am I taking this for the next several years? Because this first launch is going to help me build that.
Yeah. Yes. I feel like so many people miss that, how powerful it is to be known for something, build a brand around not just yourself, but an offer and rinse and repeat that and give it the long game and recognize that detach a little bit from the first one meaning so much in terms of those super tangible results. Like it's all the data, it's all the market research, it's all the
you don't even know until you put it out there. Yeah.
And you learn so much from that. And it's every time you launch it, the next time people still remember everything.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, that consideration mode. The people who didn't buy launch 1 are still in consideration mode for launch 2. And a lot of them, I know for certain that there's people on my wait list who didn't buy launch 1 and they're like kicking themselves and they're like, why did I do that? I have so much FOMO. I've literally had people message me like, I have so much FOMO. Like, please let me in right now. So I know some of those people are going to end up joining this launch. And then some of those people end up joining launch 3, launch 4. You know what I mean?
How many people give up on the first one being like, well, didn't sell enough.
And then people are like, well, what happened to that offer?
Yeah.
I thought you were for this and you were doing this and now you're doing that. I'm confused.
Yeah. And if you've been in business for a while, like some of your clients literally will be in consideration mode or going through their buyer's journey for years. And the longer you stay in the game, the more people you just have through that funnel and
it's
the
inevitable.
more sales you start making just because you continue to keep doing the thing. And so if you make every individual launch mean so much, like you're going to miss out on so many people.
Yeah, exactly. You have to look at the bigger picture of what you're actually building with your offers. And I think there's actually a huge lack of that in the online space. I think people create offers just for the sake of creating them, or maybe they'll create something because they were told to create something, or maybe they weren't even told, but they saw other people doing it and they did it well. And so they thought, well, that's probably the way that I have to do it too. And it takes time to figure out what that's going to look like for yourself too. It took time for me to figure out. Like I said, I had to sit with it. I had to get curious. I had to decide what I actually want for myself. And that's why I restructured my business. And so for anyone who ever feels like, do I even want to be selling this right now? Do I even want to be launching this right now? Maybe you don't even really feel that bought into your own offer. You don't need to burn your entire business to the ground, but get curious. Why? Is it the offer? Is it the price point? Is it the structure? Is it the niche? Like, what is it that is blocking you from making it the biggest deal?
Yes.
Because that's how we should feel about our offers. Like, these are important and no one's forcing us to run a business and no one's forcing us to create these offers. These are things that we get to do. Why would we not have the time of our life doing it?
Yes. And like, it's so much fun to get behind someone who's so convicted. And like, we're really looking for that trust. I always say it's a little bit of like this feminine, masculine flow as well of the person who's selling to you. You want to know they've got you.
Yeah.
Like, I understand your problem. Like, this is 100% like gonna work if you work it, like
sales is a transfer of confidence at its core. That's what I always say. If someone was like, what is the definition of sales? I'd be like, it's a transfer of confidence from one person to the other. I believe in this. I'm going to make you believe in this. I believe in you. So I'm going to make you believe in you. That's what sales is all about.
So if you're out there on your stories or whatever, being like, oh, I'll post and see if anyone likes it. Like, you're not serving any confidence for people to buy it.
No, if you have uncertainty, like genuinely people can feel that. Like I just said, it's a transfer of confidence. It's a transfer of energy. It's a transfer of belief. So people can feel that. They can feel when you believe in yourself. They can feel when you believe in your offer. And that's the other thing. they want to see that,
Mhm.
right? And so when you're kind of hiding and you're not willing to show up and advocate for your offer, you're
Yes.
missing out on all of this potential and opportunity for people to then advocate for your offer for you. Like
Mhm.
I have my sales baddies selling Sales Baddie for me now,
All the
and
time.
I don't even have an affiliate link right now because the cart's closed. Like they're not making anything off of this. They're doing it because they want to. And I have no doubt in my mind because they saw me do that.
Mhm.
And so they got bought into it too. And so now they want to share it too. But that's possible for literally anyone in business, no matter what you're selling, to create that with your audience.
Yes. Yeah, conviction is everything. And what do you tell people like when their offer's great, they generally are a pretty confident person, but they're going through a bit of a wobble.
Mhm.
And like, do you have any tools or advice or anything to get them back in that like fucking froth over your own shit and get out there and sell it?
I think it's just so important to remember that like two things can be true at once.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've had moments in my business, I had a year that I was running my business and I had a panic disorder and I
Mm-hmm.
was having panic attacks constantly. And I felt like a shell of myself because I'm a very outgoing person. I'm a very friendly person. And I was getting such bad social anxiety that was literally like hard to go out to dinner. And so I'm low key going through an identity crisis for like an entire year. This is back in 2022. And during that time, I'm still showing up for my business. And it was like, my business was like my escape almost.
Yeah.
It was like the time where I got to be my truest self. And I was feeling unconfident in other parts of my life. But this is the part of my life that I get to show up and be that badass person and be
Yeah.
confident. And I cry a lot. So it makes me emotional to think about because it literally was like my escape. But it's like two things can be true at once. Like, you can be feeling down and like be going through so much shit in your personal life, but like that doesn't have to mean that like no one's going to buy from you. And I think
Mm-hmm.
people can get confused about that just because of like the energetics behind it. And there's like, messages that we're fed constantly of like, you can't be low vibe. No one's going to buy from you if you're like low vibe or if you have this low energy. And again, two things can be true at once. You can be feeling kind of low vibe in one area, but you can still be a freaking badass at your business. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most important thing to remember too is like where we are works in progress, especially as entrepreneurs. Like this is a crash course in self-development constantly that we're not getting off of. It's a never ending course. And so it's like we can have two things going on at once, but we can still be amazing at what we're doing for our business. And so you have to just keep showing up and you just have to keep just remembering who you are, but you don't remember who you are in your journal.
Yeah.
You remember who you are by action, by showing yourself, not showing other people. Let me show myself who I am today. Let me show myself what I'm going to do. That's what I'm doing every single day. I have standards that I set for myself. I have requirements for myself. And as long as I meet those requirements, no matter what else happens that day, it doesn't matter if I make a sale or not, or if I get likes or comments or any of those things, if I did what was required of me, then I'm going to feel good. So if you are someone who's struggling with these things, give yourself those wins.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself those small wins, give yourself those requirements, give yourself those standards, and then check them off. And once you've done them, all you can do is pat yourself on the back and be proud of yourself. But you have to kind of give yourself those little tangible wins too as an entrepreneur. Else sometimes it can just feel like we're just doing things to do things.
Yeah. And it can be a bit like every single day we're doing more work and more work. So finding the ways that you can validate yourself internally because that's the only one that matters anyway.
Yeah.
But if you are always waiting for the outside world to say this is good enough or like we want to buy it or whatever it is, you're not going to make it through what it truly takes to build even one launch, but let alone like legacy offers and a brand that people will really get behind. That takes a lot of consistency, which isn't gonna like validation from the outside world isn't consistent. You have to create that consistency in
within
yourself.
Yeah.
And in the obsession for your offer and in the obsession of who you are and that you're worthy and that what you're bringing to the table is important.
Yeah.
And that like figuring out what those practices are for you to make sure you feel that good every single day is so powerful.
It's also a trust thing.
Yeah.
Trust with yourself and trust with your audience. If you're dipping out of your business constantly and you're just not showing up for your audience and you're ghosting them constantly and they're not hearing from you, inconsistency is going to create a lack of trust. Think
Mhm.
about friendships. If you have a friend and they just keep ghosting you and you never hear from them and then they pop back again, you're going to be like, all right, maybe we're kind of acquaintances now.
Yeah.
There's not as much trust. We're not besties, you
Yeah.
know? Like my bestie's checking in on me. I'm checking in on her. I don't hear from her.
I'm not
I'm going to
lean
reach
on
out
you.
to her. She doesn't hear from me. She's going to reach out to me. That's that trust. That's that relationship. And so you have to build that trust with your audience. They have to see you show up consistently because that's what's going to build trust. They're going to trust you because of how you show up for your business, because they see this matters to this person. It won't matter to them if it doesn't matter to you. But it's also trust that you're building within yourself to
Yeah.
do the things and to show up and to be consistent, because it's all habit.
Yeah. And to show up on the hard days, the days where no one's
So
validated
you
you or
can show
it's been
yourself that you
worse. Yeah.
can,
You've got
how powerful you are. So you could trust yourself to do it no matter what. That's what's being an entrepreneur is all about, doing it no matter what, like hell or high water. We're doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
I'm in this. I decided to be here. I committed to this. I'm doing this no matter what.
Yes. Can you talk about, we had a conversation yesterday when you first moved to Australia, you couldn't get a big long-term job in
Yeah.
the skills that you have.
Yeah.
So you were building from the sales skills that you have, and you talked a bit about how sales skills are just something that you can do literally anything with. If
Yeah.
you learn these skills the way that you're trying to teach them in Sales Baddie, instead of it being just for this business or just in this
Yeah.
micro-specific situation. Yeah. How do you feel about sales skills? How can we?
Sales skills is the most important thing to have as an entrepreneur outside of your own self-development. And I stand 10 toes down on that, because the only reason why your business exists is because of sales. You don't have a business if you're not making sales. You need clients and you need people buying your offer. And so sales mastery. And you know what? I actually had this conversation with my husband the other day, because he actually said to me, I use sales mastery in my messaging, right? But I was saying to him, I'm like, I actually don't really think that exists.
Mm.
And he was saying to me, really? Because I actually look at you as someone who's like a sales master. And I was like, say that again. But I was like, no, I get that. But also, I'm not. Because I'm figuring things out too, and I'm getting better every day, and I'm on that pursuit to be the best, to learn more, to figure out how to do things better, simpler, faster, easier. Like I'm constantly learning. I'm teaching sales and learning sales at the same time. I'm never going to take my foot off the gas, and that's why people want to learn from me, because I actually care about this. I'm passionate, so I'm constantly curious. I'm constantly trying new approaches for myself to see what works, so I can teach them to other people if they work, or if they don't, I can refine them to make it work, and then I can teach it to people. So it's like this constant pursuit for me of learning these sales skills. And it's been that way since I was 16. And I've worked across so many different industries. Like I have sold clothing, I have sold coolers, I have sold like charity subscriptions. Like I have sold so many different things, high end, low end, everything in between. Obviously my own business, my own programs. I've sold high end packages in my business. I've sold really low ticket offers. And people think that you sell things differently. You don't. No matter who you're selling to or where you're selling, whether it's online, on the phone, in person, in email, social media, whatever it is, you still actually have to follow the same process when it comes to sales. And that's what people don't really understand. That you sell a low ticket offer this way, then you sell a high ticket offer this way. It's like, no, you actually just have to understand how to sell and how to understand people and how to lead a sales conversation, even if you're not in that sales conversation, even if they're having that sales conversation on their own through your funnel, your funnel that you're building, and you're nurturing them through that funnel. You have to learn how to move people to make that buying decision. You have to have that sales leadership that gives people clear direction and a clear way to buy. That is transferable across any business and any industry. If you talk to the top salespeople, they'll tell you the same process that they follow to make sales. Sales is a transferable skill, which is literally why I think everyone should know how to sell. Because if you know how to sell, you have options. You have limitless options. If God forbid my business exploded today, I would be starting a new business tomorrow and I would be making sales within the first month because I know exactly what I need to do to sell. If I wasn't running a business, I would know any industry and get in there and I would freaking kill it in that industry because I know how to sell, because it's a transferable skill. And I think as business owners, that's what we need to look at developing first and foremost, is just skill sets, skills, deep understanding of why it works, when it works, and how to work it. Whether it's sales or a different part of your business, but actually understanding deeply the entire process so you can replicate it across any offer, at any price point, at any time. That's what I'm all about, is giving people control over their sales, their results, and their business. Because when you have these skills, you have that control. You know what's required of you. You know what to do to create the results that you want to create. And now it's just a matter of actually doing the damn thing and implementing and being curious and paying attention to your buyers and tweaking things based off that, and rinse and repeat. It's this constant refinement, but people have to want that. They have to want to constantly refine it. It has to matter to them. They have to care about getting better at it. And so many people resist actually just being really, really good at sales. But I feel like the second that they stop resisting and they start learning not how to do it someone else's way, because that's not what a skill is. A strategy might be doing it someone else's way, even maybe a system, but a skill is not. A skill is what we're looking at sales at its core, how to actually understand things and how to do things, right? And so that's what gives them the actual control, is having that skill. Because when you have the skill, you know what you need to do. And so when you know what you need to do, you can say, okay, this is the foundation of what's required, but what if I approach it in this way, or that way, or this way, or that way? All of my people sell in completely different ways. They have different clientele. They have different offers at different price points, but it all works and it all gets to work. There's not one way that you have to sell, but the sales understanding and skill is the same regardless of how you're selling. So that's what we have to look at. We have to look at that foundation and understand sales at its core and understand our buyers more than anything. Because when we do that, then we get those options and then we get to try different approaches. And when you try these different approaches, you are going to find one that works for you. I promise you, no matter how much you think you hate sales or how much you resist it, you will find it. And when you find it, you'll feel it.
And
you'll know that
fun.
yes, exactly. And then you're going to feel good about it, which is what I was saying before. I think a lot of people resist that at first, but when they stop resisting it and they start learning that actual skill and they feel things clicking in their brain and they start picking up on things, they start understanding people better, they start understanding their buyers. Now they start understanding, what should I double down on because this worked? What should I amplify? What should I refine? And what should I just leave at the door because I absolutely hated it? When they have that, they're like, wait, I actually love to sell.
Yeah.
And it gets to be that way and it should be that way. And you shouldn't stop until you get to that.
Yeah, I think this hits so many levels as well, because the skills that you have in your business, you have to learn them so that you can continue to refine in every level of your business that's going to come up. But also when we think about delegating or spreading things around in our business, it's a really common problem. I see people be like, oh, I'm not good at sales, so let me hire someone on sales. I'm not good at marketing. Let me get someone on marketing. Your sales or marketing team will be literally 1,000 times better
if you give them direction.
You can give them direction and you've already figured out what works best for your business. Yeah, I see so many people waste so much money.
100%. Yeah.
Have no direction from them.
I mean, I've wasted money in the past, not on sales particular things, but on trying to outsource something to someone and thinking like, hey, they're just going to come in and do all of this for me. And then it's like, no, they needed direction. That was on me, that I didn't have that to begin with. And like, especially with sales, like you're telling me as a business owner that you're going to outsource your sales to this one person and their team. What if their business shuts down? Then so does yours. Like, then you don't even know what you need to do because you handed that part of your business off. Like, there is no entrepreneur. You like look outside of the online space. These people who have built massive businesses. Do you know who Sarah Blakely is? The owner of Spanx. One of like I'm obsessed with her. A huge fangirl. She's one of my biggest inspirations. We actually went to the same university and we were in the same sorority. Not at the same time, but the way that she talks about building Spanx, it's like she was doing everything. She was doing all of her marketing, all of her sales. She knew what she needed to do. And then she hired the people.
Yeah.
And then she gave them the direction to do things really well. And she built this incredible brand, and she's a billionaire. You know, she got it on the New York Stock Exchange, and then I'm pretty sure she sold it, and she's a billionaire. But she was doing everything. She learned how to do everything. And then you outsource. Like, you have to have that foundational understanding first. And then, yeah, sure, outsource it after that, but never put yourself in a position. This goes back to what I said before about control. You should have control over your business.
Yeah.
Never put yourself in a position where someone else is in control of your business, whether it's someone you hire as like a service provider or a role to come into your business, or even when you're working with a coach. Your coach is not in control of your business, right? They're there to advise you. They're there to teach you. They're there to give you direction, but it's not up to them. Like, I've said this to my clients many times when they come and, you know, maybe they'll ask me certain questions about a price point or a delivery or whatever. And I'll say, I'm not the one getting paid for this.
Yeah.
So I can give you advice on how I would do this, but this is actually ultimately up to you. And that's what I want to create just in general. It's what I've always wanted to create, is people who are self-sufficient. That's what being a sales baddie is. It's self-sufficient when it comes to sales, right? It's not constantly searching for the answers. I actually said this on one of our calls last week. I was like, my biggest goal for all of you is to never have to look outside of yourself to understand what you need to do to grow your business. It's to actually look within you and within your business and at your numbers and speaking to your buyers and looking at what works and tweaking it. Just like I said before, like, that is what I want for you. I want you to have that control. I want you to stop trying to grasp here and maybe it's this and maybe it's that. I want you to understand what it actually is. I want you to know when you have a gap, right? I'm like one of the most self-aware people that there is. So if I have a gap, I know exactly what it is, even if I don't want to fix it right away. I'm very aware of what it is, but because I know what it is, I know what I need to do about it, right? And that's how I want people to approach their businesses. I don't want them to think that they have to constantly look here and here and here and here and here for the answer. Come here.
Yeah.
Come back. Look at yourself, how you actually feel within your business, right? We talked about that earlier, and actually being bought into your own offer, but then also how your audience is responding to the offer, how your buyers are responding to the offer. Go off the actual facts and the actual data that's right in front of you. And guess what? Your business coach can't tell you that because they're not in your business. They can't go in and log in and look at your numbers. You can share those numbers with them, but they can't go and find these things for you. You got to know what to look at. You got to know what numbers you're looking for, and then you need to know what to do with those numbers. And again, that's going to give you options to approach things in different ways too, because you're going to say, okay, here's my gap. Here's what I need to fix. And I could do it this way, or I could do it that way, or I can do it this way. But they know what they need to do, and that gives them the control to do things effectively.
Yes, like true skill to be able to apply it to whatever situation you're in instead of it being one strategy that applies when this and this is happening. And what the fuck do we do when it falls off that path? Yes, I love that. Okay, expand us a little bit. Tell us, where are you going next? What are you building? Why should we be following you? What's happening in your world?
Well, you should follow me because I'm the sales baddie. And what I'm building is sales baddie.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. That is what I'm building. And I shared with you last night that my goal is to get Sales Baddie to 1,000 members by the end of the year. And so that's just full speed ahead. My full focus, energy, heart, that's everything I'm doing is for Sales Baddie and to build this community and to just make it the best space that I can possibly make it. And so that's not just selling it. That's me making this offer really, really good. That's me paying attention to the people who are in my space and saying, okay, if I see them implementing, what gaps am I seeing in their implementation? And then going into my actual offer and adding a new training, or maybe I'm refining one, or I'm giving them another resource or another tool to make it the best space. I'm constantly adding new trainings in there to teach them new skills so they can go in and take what they need and apply it and leave what they don't. But so they always have all of the information that they need to have these sales skills and to understand sales at its core, and then to build the strategy and the system based off of that. So that's all of my energy right now is just going into selling the space, launching the space, but also nurturing the space and making it the best space that it can possibly be, because it matters to me, because I care, because for me, this is not just an offer. It's literally a movement. It's an identity. It's something that people are buying into. And I was talking to one of my mentors in the beginning of this year before I launched Sales Baddie. And when I was just kind of in the building phase, I was collecting market research. There's plenty of memberships out there, and people were getting kind of sick of memberships. And so I was like, I got to make this space different, but I have to understand people. I have to understand what they like and what they don't like and why, and ask that information. So when I was in that building phase, and I was collecting market research, and I was literally getting on calls with people. And I tell my baddies this, like, I have been in sales since I was 16 years old, and I'm getting on calls to collect market research because that's how much I care about this offer. And people get egos in business, and they think, oh, market research, I was doing that in year one. I don't need to do that now. No, you should always be doing that. Even if you're not on a call with people, you should be paying attention to your audience. And so when I was in that phase and I was getting on these calls with people, I was noticing how much they were craving a space like this and how much it actually meant to them. And they were getting really excited, and they were telling me that they were ready to buy. And I hadn't even said the name or anything like that yet. And I was on a call with one of my mentors, and I got emotional because I was like, I feel really responsible for building this space, because I did my own market research outside of talking to buyers. I looked at the market, and I was looking at other sales memberships and literally figuring out what was inside of them. And I can say with my full chest, there is nothing like Sales Baddie besides Sales Baddie that exists. There is nothing that teaches sales in such a comprehensive way that I'm teaching it in Sales Baddie, and really focuses on these skills, but also just making sure that people have everything they need, like even just like how to build a sales page is in there, like even just having trainings like that, how to collect the market research, how to launch, how to sell these different offers, how to build the offers, like all of those different things. And so I was like, I know that there's nothing out there like this. And I was saying to my mentor, now I feel really responsible for building this space. I feel like there's kind of almost a weight on my shoulders, because people are looking at me like, we want you to build this. And I'm like, okay, but what if I fuck up? And I was getting nervous. And I said to her, I feel a lot of responsibility for this. And I started getting emotional because I cry all the time, and it meant a lot to me. And when things mean a lot to me, I'll get like those overwhelmed kind of tears. I'm a Pisces, so I cry very easily. And so I started tearing up in the call saying that. And I expected her to be like, no, do not feel responsible for other people, and go into that whole spiel. And honestly, that's what I wanted her to say. So I could be like, yeah, you're right. I just need to detach. And she goes, I love that you feel that way.
Yeah.
I love that you feel so responsible. I love that this matters to you so much. I think you should feel that way. And I think that's important. And I was like, yeah,
damn,
you're right. It is important. And it is good that I feel that way. And maybe I do need to put that weight on my shoulders and that responsibility, and take this really seriously. And that made me take this more seriously. Like, that's how important this is to me, because sales would change your life. Even if you don't have a business, if you know how to sell, like, your life is absolutely changed. You're always going to know how to provide for yourself. You're always going to know how to put food on the table and a roof over your head and your family's head, which is why this matters so much to me, because it gives people autonomy.
Amazing. I think it's so powerful about your mission. I often say to people, like, it's not even just about you. Like,
No.
if you never get up and do your work and do the thing that you're here to do, who's going to miss out?
Yeah.
There are people waiting for that skill, that information, that support, that perspective, whatever it is. Like, get off your ass and let it light a fire under your butt sometimes.
Exactly. Like, it's actually okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel responsible for these things. It is important, and it should matter, and we should take things seriously and understand that what we're doing has an impact on other people. Like you just said, it's not just impacting my life. I'm seeing it impact other people's lives. Like, when I can teach people how to sell, and I can see them getting a literal monetary result because of it, like, that is life-changing for them, because then they get to live the life that they want to live as a byproduct of that. And that's what it's all about, is being able to just, like, make the most out of our time here and do what we actually want with it. And it goes back to what I said before too, just having options.
Yeah.
When you know how to sell, you're always going to have options.
Oh, so good. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. That was such a good conversation.
Yay. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.